evening and welcome to Mystic Matters. Kristin Hartnett, Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Al.
Good evening, Kristin.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for co-hosting.
Glad to have the Groton business update out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Those of you that caught that, it was quite a show.
It was quite a show. We did some soft shoe.
Soft shoe,
It was fun. Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy. I think you're supposed to say the Honorable
Senator Chris Murphy.
Chris Murphy.
Yes, absolutely. And
But
kiss his ring.
We learned a lot, and we ate some bacon, and it was good. So what's coming up?
Wow, lots of things coming up.
I
We
know.
have some after hours up in Preston at Roseledge.
Yes, Roseledge Country Inn. She's celebrating 25 years in business, a bed and breakfast, and that is June 11th at 5:30. She's going to have exhibitors. She's going to have the Mystic Seaport. She's going to have some tastings. She's going to have several businesses with their wares and a book signing. So it's going to be like a little fair.
That's great.
Little
And
celebration.
to our viewers that haven't been there yet, it's out in the country, literally, farmland all around. You've probably gone by it a million times when you take that bypass around Norwich when you're leaving from the Foxwoods to get the 395. And their grounds are very, very pretty. They have plantings everywhere, old farm machinery. So a June day, what a great thing to do, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, it's going to be great. And then June 18th, we're going to Chapter 1. Martinis is what I'm saying. They have the best. Anyway, they're going to be hosting us for a business after hours. This is June, and we have 7 events.
Busy month,
I
right?
challenge
Busy,
you
yeah.
to go to every single
Right.
one of them. And if you are in the running for a prize, if you check off all the boxes.
Now, Chapter 1, get there a little earlier or plan to stay a little bit later. Check out the expansion going downtown Mystic. Central Hall is built. We got a couple of stores in there already. And SIFT just did an expansion. Beautiful. Check it all out. Mystic is happening.
Happening, I'll tell you. So we're really thrilled at our present guest today. We are always happy to have Deb Neuman on the show, Director of Development at Enders
Right.
Island.
Absolutely. It's great to see you, Kristin. And Al, thanks for having me again.
Great, Deb.
Now, we
Welcome.
love Enders Island. It is a wonderful addition to Mystic. I should say addition. I mean, it's been here forever, right?
For a long time.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we often recommend when visitors come to the Visitor Center, the Welcome Center, if they want a respite from the traffic, if they want a walk along the water, or if they want just a little picnic somewhere, we send them off to Enders Island.
And we're happy that you do. I can't tell you how many people let us know that the chamber, we stopped at the chamber. You know, I'll walk around the grounds and say, what brought you here? And lots of reasons bring people there, but you're one of them, so thanks.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about what you want to tell us about today?
Okay. And I think we brought some video, so we can have a look at that. And
Great.
I'll just let me give, for people who haven't been to Enders Island, a little bit of an overview. We are officially known as St. Edmund's Retreat. And what we are is a Catholic retreat on an 11-acre island off Mystic, off of Mason's Island. We look right onto Fisher's Island Sound. And our whole mission in life is to help people, we say, renew themselves and retreat or recover, or all three. So we have basically 3 things that we do at Enders Island. We run a program of spiritual retreats. They are generally in the Catholic tradition, but they're very open. Another one of our mottos is all are welcome. So when you see our sign, and this is our beautiful chapel, the chapel.
Now, this used to be a monastery.
It
You're
did.
saying people still say, oh, what's going on at the monastery?
Yeah, it used to be. So, you know, Enders Island was owned originally and sort of built by Dr. Thomas Enders and his wife Alice. He was a prominent physician from Hartford. She had been a showgirl, and when they married, and I'm going to look at all these beautiful gardens, they built the beautiful Enders House, which is an arts and crafts 1920s mansion.
She had been a showgirl. That's not a
Yeah.
sentence you often hear.
You don't hear that? I just learned that. Alice Enders was a showgirl, but she was his second wife. And
Genesis in that beautiful retreat is a showgirl.
a showgirl.
I love it.
But she was also a wonderful artist, and he was a painter, and she was an artist. And so Alice really worked on developing these gorgeous gardens, and what you're seeing right now are the stations, the 12 stations of the cross, which were put up later. But all the stonework that you see, all the beautiful beds and all that work was Alice's original work. When
Wow,
she,
really?
you know, she had it done, she had it landscaped, and her husband, and this is the house that Thomas and Alice built. He painted after he retired, and there's a small building on the campus, which was originally a chapel, but before that was his painting studio. But to sort of cut to the chase, I mean, in 1954, she passed away, and shortly before she died, she decided they didn't have children, and none of her family members, let me take it, pause, this is our seaside chapel. None of her family members could take over the property, so she decided to give it to a Catholic order of priests called the Society of St. Edmunds. And they happened to be part of I think the video's over, so part of the Society of St. Edmund. And she felt that they would take good care of the property. And the only restriction she put was that it should be used for religious purposes. There were no other restrictions other than that. And at first, it was used as a seminary to train priests, and then in the 70s, as fewer people were becoming priests, the Society of St. Edmunds decided to have a man named, one of their priests named Father Tom Hoare, come down to the island and figure out what to do with it. And Father Tom built on a tradition of, they had always had a small program of sacred arts. We're teaching people how to do stained glass windows and iconography and other arts that are related to religion, really. And he has built that up and has brought over the years master artists to create, to do workshops for people. We've built a program of spiritual retreats, many of which we host, but also a lot of people come to Enders Island to do their own retreats, private retreats or other churches. We've had Jewish retreats there, you know, people who want to come and have a quiet, beautiful place to reflect.
So businesses in the business community, the Mystic business community,
Yes,
could rent out the...
They can rent out space. We are not a hotel, and we don't want to compete with local businesses that is their core business. But very frequently, you know, especially nonprofits or small businesses, if they wanted to do a workshop there, or if they wanted to do, I often, because I came from the corporate world before doing this, and so I'm really used to going off campus, you know, to do team building exercises and things like that. It's a great place for a team building workshop or a strategic planning workshop. You know, we have a few rooms that can accommodate, one of which can accommodate up to 50 people. And I have to give a little pause here to say we have an amazing chef and a head of cuisine, and so all the meals that are served at Enders Island are just top notch.
Now, is that open to the public at all, ever, or?
We'll come to it in a bit when we talk about our special events. Generally not. You know, we cook for the people who live there, the people who work there, and the people who are on retreat there or are taking workshops.
So when you say the people who live there, share a little bit about who those people are.
Those people, the third leg of what we do is we run a very small program for young men who are in recovery from addiction. So alcohol abuse, substance abuse, the opioid crisis that's devastating us. Father Tom has no more than 12 guys at a time, all of them between the ages of 18 and maybe early 30s. And what he will do is have these young men live we have a hall called Colby Hall. It houses about 12 people, which is what puts the limits, among other things, on how many we can serve. And these guys will come and spend anywhere from 6 months to, we've had some be with us for 3 years. And they participate in AA meetings 3 or 4 times a week. Many of them, Father Tom gets them back on the path to going back to college. We go to Three Rivers. Many of them go to Three Rivers Community while they're in residence. We seek mentors and sponsors for them. And so they will work on the work of recovery until they're ready to go back. Usually to college, but sometimes, you know, to Electric Boat. We have a young man graduating now who's going to EB.
That's great.
It's really great. So those are when I talk about people living there, the guys in recovery, we have a sabbatical program for some priests who need a bit of time away, and some of them stay for a few months at a time. And then we don't live there. I don't live there, but I do get to have a free lunch every single day. And the whole staff gets to have a free, amazing lunch every day.
One of the perks, huh?
That's one of the perks. So it's a mission. Father Tom, who actually before coming to Enders Island 26 years ago, He's been a priest for about, I think, 40 years, but what he did, he worked in student affairs at St. Michael's College in Vermont for many years. So I would say, I don't want to speak for him, but to sort of speak a little bit about what I know of him, he really has a passion, I think, in his personal ministry to work with people in recovery in general, but then also I think with young people who need to find their way back. And so the college background has informed a lot of what he does. He's really a leader in the national movement to create safe places for people on college campuses who have addiction problems. It's really very cool, yeah.
Now, when you say, I forgot what I was going to ask. Do you remember what it was?
What you were going to ask?
Yes.
About what's going on, what's coming up,
What's
maybe?
coming up, Dad? What is
Okay.
coming up? Do you have events coming up?
Sure we do. I mean, one of the things I'm responsible for, I mean, all of this doesn't happen for free, right? I
Right.
mean, we get no funding from the government, we get no funding from the church.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask about is church.
Yeah.
Isn't there a mass every
There
Sunday?
is. Earlier, you guys saw the beautiful chapel, and there is. We have mass every day at 9 a.m., and many people come from all over
Every
this
day?
area. Yeah, 9
Okay.
o'clock every day, and then not a full mass, but a whatever the not full mass is called. On Sunday mornings at 9, we full mass, and it's very well attended. It's especially well attended in this, in this summer and spring and summer when the snowbirds come back from Florida and other places. But all through the winter, a very strong following of people.
So you were talking about, I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
interrupted you
but
about
what
the
if
events.
you were asking me? But it's important because I mean, I find it's just a very peaceful place to be, and I think you sometimes walk into that chapel and it's just such a quiet place. And I'll tell you about the events in a minute, but I will say for folks who are watching that we have in the chapel gorgeous art, 12 Stations of the Cross, all of which we've got beautiful carvings. The stained glass windows are beautiful, and all of them were created especially for this chapel. The chapel was built in 2000, and Father Tom brought master artisans in, and so it's really worth going, just to see that beautiful art.
Al, have you been to see the arm?
Arm.
The arm.
Yeah, so
No.
St. Edmund's arm is there.
Yes.
From like here down. It's a relic.
It's a relic.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. I didn't know
I
that.
can say I've prayed to the arm, and I'm a witness because
Yeah.
that,
Yes.
all my dreams come true when I pray to the arm.
But what struck me about it, because my wife and I have gone there numerous times, just because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So the first thing that strikes you, not only the grand design by our chorus lady, but also who's maintaining
Right.
those flowers,
Right.
those plants, the trimmings.
Well, that's
Who
a
does
great
that?
question. So we have a very small team, literally one facilities director and one full-time and one full-time man, Eddie. So Dave and Eddie, who are the team that manage all the buildings and the grounds. But we also are really blessed to have some fabulous volunteers. And in particular, anyone who's been to Enders Island in the full height of the summer will notice in the August time frame, our dahlia gardens. We have
right.
we're famous, have become famous
Yeah.
for the dahlias. And there's a woman who lives in Pawcatuck named Gail Wentworth, who several years ago asked Father Tom if she could grow some dahlias. She's a master gardener, and dahlias are her specialty. And he said yes. And then one bed became 2, became 3. I think I counted them once. I think we've got 30 beds of dahlias.
Wow.
My
And
gosh.
Gail has made this. I mean, you can see her there every day, and it's getting harder for her now. Her back is, challenged, and so we actually are. And I'll mention this: if anyone out there is interested in volunteering in our gardens, and especially with our dahlias, whether it be watering, planting, weeding, whatever. We're always open and welcome volunteers. We have another woman, Anne, I'm blocking on her last name. She has just replanted our gorgeous rose gardens. That was last year's project. So close to the church, we have this beautiful 3 rows of rose bushes planted there. And you can see, just yesterday we had the Essex Garden Club come in,
wow.
about 50 people. And that's kind of a typical thing. We have a lot of garden clubs and other groups that they'll come. They'll visit, they'll tour the gardens, and then they'll have a beautiful lunch. And it really makes a nice outing, for
Absolutely,
groups.
yeah.
So
Now, the events that you do you have them all on campus, or people can host events on your?
Yes, so I'll
well.
mention the big fundraiser that we have coming up. It's called Holy Smoke. I brought some pictures, so if you wanted to show some of them, I'll show you what that's about. Every year in June, and this year it's June 15th, we have an event called Holy Smoke. It's a cigar dinner, and there you have.
There it is. Yeah.
On the right is our co-chair of the event, Wendy Borowski, and on the left, Hannah Karab. Hannah lives in town, and she is a great help on the committee for Holy Smoke. So this is you see the tent on the left. The cigar dinner is an annual occasion where we bring together 400 to 500. We're hoping for 500 people this year, and we do a beautiful cocktail party, dinner, raw bar, you name it, fabulous food event. And the whole purpose of it is, obviously, we're raising funds for our collegiate recovery program, but it also gives us an opportunity to share with the people who come and support us what we're about, and especially later on I'll show you. You could move to the next picture and we'll just kind of go through. This is what the tent looks like looking out over to the water. So you see the Seaside Chapel in the background. This year we're going to do it as a farm-to-table dinner, so it'll be long tables instead of rounds. It's going to be, and you know, we have high tops outside, and people walk the grounds, and you know, just it's a fun event. If we go to the next one, not sure what we have, and you can sort of see from inside the tent, casual but elegant. I guess I call it the premier event of Mystics summer season.
Now, Deb, 500 people, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
How wide of a geographic area you draw from?
So we do draw from a pretty wide area. I mean, certainly all of Mystics, Stonington, we go down the shore. We've got people coming in from Glastonbury, and from that part of Connecticut, we got people coming in from, Old Saybrook. Westerly is a big one. We almost always have a great table from the hospitals around here, L&M.
And if you don't smoke, you can still attend?
You can, and I've tried to make a point of that. This is an 11-year-old event, and I was not my brainchild. I've just tried to kind of build on it and make it better. But it was more of a guys' event, in the early years, and it's still perhaps, more men than women. I haven't counted, but we over the past 4 years have really worked to make it something that men and women would enjoy. Of course, there are a lot of women cigar people. And also, I always make the point, you don't need to be a cigar smoker. We have fans, we keep the tent open, we do everything we can so that people generally go outside to smoke, so that you can just kind of have a blast. But if we go, I think there's one more picture. This young man is named Matthew Gregoire. Matthew spoke at last year's event. He was in recovery. When he came to us, he was, I think, maybe 20, 21 years old, very shy. I didn't know him when he first came. I only got to know him after he left. Bad alcohol problem and really struggling. And he tells the story of how his father knew somebody who knew of Ender's Island and said, maybe you can bring your son there. And Matthew had, as he tells the story, was giving up on everything, doing horribly in school, didn't think he could even begin, but his dad brought him for a weekend, and they talked to Father Tom, and Father Tom said, are you ready to change? And he said, I want to change, and I'm ready. He said, all you have to do is listen to me and go to AA and just be here, and we'll work on this. And Matthew stayed, I think, 2 years, maybe. I don't know if it was 2 full years. He did a very bright young man. He did amazingly well, and he is telling the story there of after finishing, he went to Texas Tech University, which is a college that we work with a lot because they've got one of the leading recovery programs on campus with safe housing and a lot of support for the students. So he went there, he earned his nursing degree. Now he's a nurse in Dallas doing very, very well. He's married to a PhD student from, I think, Columbia, who's gorgeous. And it's just an amazing thing to hear. And now he is starting to work with some of the guys who are in our program now, and he's going to help one of them start a recovery program at the University of Dallas.
So the funds that you raise from the cigar dinner go toward helping young men who can't necessarily afford to be at some kind of rehab, because these things are $25,000, $50,000. I'm not supposed to mention prices.
No, but
it's
it's good. It's not this price. What we charge is $10,000. It's $10,000 a month, which is probably, you mentioned 25, 30, 40. It's very rare that the young men who come to our program have families that can afford that. Very rare. I won't get into the details of that. And Father Tom says he will not turn anyone away. So you can imagine how that makes the financial manager shake, and it makes the development director, because I mean it. We don't get subsidized by government or the church, and we're not. We don't do medical treatment when the young men do get psychiatric help, and we. Through a partner called the Catholic Psych Institute, and we've allowed them to have an office on our campus. So yeah, it's really to support scholarships, and we've been very fortunate. We never, Father Tom will always say, we've always had enough. He's a man of faith, and he just says, we will have enough.
Now, when is this dinner?
This is June 15th. This coming 2 weeks from, Saturday, June 15th, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. It is a ticketed event. Tickets are $150. We are almost sold out, but we've got about 40 tickets left. Yeah. You can go to our website, endersisland.com, Holy Smoke, or it's very easy to find online. So I encourage folks to go.
40 tickets left.
Yeah.
Al, hurry up.
Hurry up.
Okay.
It's going to be the best one yet. We've got live jazz music by some of you may be familiar with Tish Rabe and Friends. She plays a lot at the Stake Loft, her band, and they've been with us. This will be their third year. They're fun. They do American songbook jazz. They can do rock. We tend to do a lighter kind of, more jazz kind of music.
Right. And you have something coming up for Father's Day as well?
Yeah, so there's one more slide, I think, and that is of our Father's Day brunch. So since we have the tent, why not just throw another party for a few hundred people the next day and kill everyone?
The next day, is it?
It's the next day. So
impressive.
June 15th is Holy Smoke, and June 16th, Sunday, June 16th, is Father's Day. And so we've paired, last year we did this for the first time. Father Tom said, well, we have the tent. And last year we were celebrating 100 years of of not the island, but of the house and the settlement of the island. So we had the centennial brunch. And we had about 300 people. This one is $35 a ticket. You can also sign up online. You can call the office. Happy to take registrations, whichever way people want to do it. This is really lovely because it's at 10 o'clock. You can, bring your dad, your husband, whoever and we've had generations come, the grandfathers, the fathers, and their whole family. And children under 10 are free, so we're trying to make it child friendly. And the menu is equally great. I forgot to say the menu for Holy Smoke is a steak dinner with lobster risotto. We have a raw bar. We have It's just and then a great appetizers.
I know, Kristin, I'm getting hungry just.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, maybe we can spend the night. Right?
I think it's the best bargain in Mystic. We are surrounded by great food. I should mention and give thanks to our sponsors. The Oyster Club and Engine Room are sponsors for the Raw Bar. We have some of our board members are sponsoring the tent, and then we have a whole host of people who are doing. This year, Alex and Ani have provided bangles for all of our guests, and so they're a sponsor. Surface Skincare, new business in Mystic. I think I was there for the ribbon cutting with you, Kristin. Jacqueline is doing a sponsorship as well. She's our welcome sponsor, and we're going to have a really cool signature cocktail. So anyone, we think it'll be a great way for her to get her business promoted. It's a great audience to be in front of. So a lot of good sponsors and a lot of good, local people doing tables.
If Oyster Club is providing the raw bar, that's locally harvested, right?
Yes, I mean they are not necessarily. They're sort of making it possible for us. They're providing the funding. They're not running it for us. But yes, it's all locally harvested, seafood.
Farm to table, sea to table.
And I don't know. I will just put another shout out there. We're still looking for 3 more shuckers because this event has grown so big that we now have 2 stations for the Raw Bar and. we get a lot of help from both Seawell and also from Schaefer's Marina. They volunteer their time to shuck for us. So
Okay, sharkers, volunteer, get up here, step in,
So,
step up.
I know we're running out of time. It's a good segue, Al. There are lots of ways to volunteer. You can always call the office and say we could use help with the events, with setup, all kinds of stuff on the events. But on another note, I mentioned the gardening before, and any number of things. So we make our own jams and jellies. So we have a whole group of people that come in just to help, and it's all from fruit grown on our island. So. We have people who are like our jam. There's some guys in this group, but it's usually the ladies, our jam ladies.
And you also have membership, yes? Membership
We do.
ability?
Great thing to say. We have a group called the Eddies, which are Friends of Enders Island, and it's named after St. Edmund, but the Eddies.
It reminds me of the sea, though, when the eddies come
That's
and go, right?
Yeah,
and that's
that's
what
right,
it reminded me of when Bill Stanley came up with that name. And so for $250 a year, you can become a member, and we have 2 parties that go with that: a summer party outside, and then a sort of holiday Christmas party in the winter. And they're wonderful gatherings. We always do them on Thursdays, and in the summer, all our events, except for Holy Smoke, but the ones that we have on site, we do on Thursdays because you see all the sailboats going by. I think it's the Masons Island Yacht Club do their regattas that night. So bring your wife out, bring your husband out, come on out.
I might bring him for shucking. I don't know. He's good at that.
Is he good at that?
Oh yeah, he's a chef. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm so glad I mentioned it.
set
I'll
him
give you
up.
the details after the show. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
Well, I'm so pleased that you were able
Yeah.
to come, and we do still have some time left.
Oh, we do?
Actually,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So if you wanted to talk more about
Yeah.
like the arts programs that you
Sure.
do, and
I'll let you, 2 things I'll mention. So I skipped over it a bit, but we have a program called the Sacred Arts Institute. And again, people can go online and you can look at all our programs, but basically most of our courses, we either do half-day, full-day, or full-day workshops, and then we also have week-long workshops where people can learn how to do stained glass. They can learn how to do iconography. We even have, and then we're expanding and we're doing more things on watercolor painting and oil painting. Come to Enders Island and learn and paint for a day, which I love. One of the ones that's most fun that's coming up is called Glory Bees. That's not an arts program. That's just another kind of program. But I was telling you earlier, Kristin, 3 visits to 3 different gardens. Our garden, 2 others that are local, followed by a farm table dinner at Enders Island. So all kinds of neat stuff. And the last thing I'll say is, hearkening back to the recovery program, this year we have 6 of our young men are graduating, 2 from high school, and one of those is going on to college. The other one is going to Electric Boat for a training program. 2 with their bachelor's or AA degrees, and 2 with graduate degrees, one in a master's of business from Salve, and another one got a master's in social work. So we're throwing a kind of a graduation party for them on June 9th. It's not exactly open to the public, but Father Tom is saying, I can mention, anyone who has a feel or a heart for that or wants to know more about Enders Island, but it's mostly for these young men and their families and our staff and others who are part of the faith community. But it's a really, I have to say, somebody who's been there 4 years now, to see the progress some of these guys have made.
It's incredible.
Great story.
It's really a great story.
Changing lives there. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So if you're near Enders Island, stop by and go in the office and see Deb
Yeah.
and find out how you can help.
Exactly.
We are so grateful to have it in our greater Mystic business community and in our community.
Yeah,
Community
thank you.
Altogether, yeah.
And thanks for being here, Al.
My pleasure.
All right.
You didn't get Susette, but you got me.
Well,
It was a pleasure.
It's a toss-up, right? We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.